And first fight of the night, we got Rashid Vagabov. He's taking on Paulo de Silva. And Rashid, 27-year-old fighter, he's coming out of Dagestan. He trains out of Eagles MMA Academy. He's an Abdumanap student, 13-2. So he's experienced and he's been on fire. He's won 5 fights in a row, 4 submission victories in a row. And he's had a pretty good strength of schedule. He's fought a lot of tough guys out there. If Russians, Tajikistan guys, all those guys out there in the mountainous areas. And his last fight, he beat Dennis Araujo, who is a 23-6 Brazilian fighter. He's beaten Asian fighters. His most recent loss was in an EFC flyweight title fight, and the opponent that he lost to is now 9-0, one of the highest rated flyweights in ONE FC. And Vagabov, he has beaten another guy that was 10-0 earlier in his career, so he has a pretty impressive resume. But Paulo de Silva, 23-year-old fighter, he's Brazilian, he's 11-1. He's a Charles Oliveira protege, so this is Nurmagomedov team versus Oliveira battle 2.0. And resume-wise, de Silva does not have the resume that Vagabov has. He is pretty experienced. He has 12 fights, and his record is stellar. He's 11-1, but doesn't have a lot of great wins. All his fights have been in Brazil. The majority were versus opponents that had losing records. He has tested himself in terms of he's fought a few regional title fights, so those are a little higher pressure situations than a normal fight, but weren't against the best fighters or in the best promotions. His last fight was in the LFA. He got a split decision win over Hugo Paiva, who is a good fighter. Hugo Paiva is 9-2. He's someone that's dangerous. I think is pretty close to UFC level. And the fight was a split. I mean, I honestly thought Paiva won, but regardless, he was competitive with the good opponent there. And this is his first fight outside of Brazil, first non-Brazilian opponent that he's going to be facing. So it is a pretty difficult matchup for him if you're looking at it from that perspective on paper. I tried to find Paulo Silva's earlier fights. I couldn't really find much of anything, but the only thing that I found was his last fight. A lot of his previous wins weren't against great competition, and they were first-round submissions. A lot of arm triangles, rear naked chokes. He has a couple arm bars. He also has a triangle victory. But I don't know if he set those up from top position or he got taken down, but it seems like he mainly played on top as a pro fighter so far. Even in his fight with Hugo Paiva in the LFA, the times he got put on bottom, he didn't seem all that threatening or wanting to be there. And he brings that shoot box style, though. He is very long on the feet. He could switch stances. He's aggressive. He's good at overwhelming fires with long combinations. He'll throw sharp straights, good shots up the middle. He eats calf kicks, but he's able to take them. And his last fight, he fought a really good boxer, and he lost the first round. He ate low kicks. He got boxed up, but came out looking good in the second. He did get dropped. It looked like it wasn't going to be his night, but he stayed composed. He worked back into the fight. He kept the consistent pressure. He dropped his opponent back towards the end of that second round and won that round. And he really did fight similar to Oliveira on the feet in that fight. He was long and sharp. He had solid pressure combinations. He was attacking all parts of the body. He also got hurt, came back in signature Du Bronx fashion. I wasn't that impressed with his takedown defense. I really didn't see a ton of him attacking off his back either. I'm sure if his opponent was more willing to stay in his guard, maybe we would have seen more. But really, it seemed like he wanted to keep it on the feet. And you're looking at him here. Looks like he just got to Vegas. So, I don't know how long that he's really been here. It seems like that's a little alarming. I would have wanted him to get here a little earlier. But, I mean, you see he's training with good guys, putting the work in. He has a good camp behind him, and they're going to have him prepared, but I feel like that is something that I was a little bit worried about. I mean, he's getting there with only a couple days to cut weight, so hopefully he could not show any ill effects of that because he's a big guy for the division. But you look at Rashid Vagabov, excellent wrestler, submission fighter. He's someone that is a tall flyweight, but in this fight, he's actually going to be at a reach disadvantage. But he likes to play hands low on the feet, kind of try to bait you in, and then he will use footwork. He does a lot of chasing, though, at times, and I feel like his aggression, his forward pressure is really what he likes to do in the stand-up. It's just when he's getting pieced up, he'll go hands low, he'll move around, try to pull you into stuff, but he has fast hands, decent kicks. He'll try to flurry guys to the fence, shoot. Sometimes he can let fighters pressure him, though, and look kind of awkward, low volume. And he can't have those lulls here because giving De Silva momentum is not what he wants to do. If he has to strike here in this fight, I think he's going to be in a little trouble. But he has fast level changes. He's a ton of different takedown finishes. He's extremely sticky on top, great ground and pound. He shuts down submission attacks really well, and he'll attack submissions in his own right. His one loss, he fought another really good grappler. He got taken down early, but he was able to reverse and put his opponent in this weird modified crucifix position, did some damage there, and then he tried to get back up and got caught in a guillotine. So I think he's going to be super difficult to submit by and large, but that was just a weird moment. And extending the fight for De Silva could be a tactic because I think Vagabov is going to have to wrestle hard here. And if he doesn't find the finish, it could be a high-paced fight for him. But this is a great fight. I mean, De Silva looks serious on the feet. He's going to have a big reach advantage. The way that Vagabov backs up hands down, sometimes he could get cracked. But, I think in rounds 2 and 3, Vagabov has phenomenal wrestling transitions, control, and if he can get that grappling going and really put Silva through the grinder, we could see Silva slow down. So I think if both guys get tired, Vagabov is going to win the fight via decision. So that's kind of what I'm thinking. I just feel like Silva could put the damage on him on the feet early, and if he does that and is able to kind of stay fresh and not let Vagabov get on the wrestling, then maybe you'll have a shot. But just from what I've seen, man, I didn't like his wrestling defense, and I think that's going to be an issue for him. And you see that Vagabov's been out here training in Vegas for a while now, man. I mean, he's been at the PI, training with some really good fighters, obviously. He is with Ali, so I just feel like he's going to be ready to go, and he's not going to get tired. He's going to be able to push through and use the wrestling, and I could see him getting a submission win, honestly. But with De Silva being out of that camp shoot box, they're going to be really difficult to submit. I'm going to say it's a decision win. I'm going back and forth on that right now. I almost switched to say he's going to get a submission Vagabov. So I do think that if you're looking at kind of value plays, Vagabov decision, Vagabov sub round 2, maybe De Silva KO 2-3 to hedge a little bit. But I like Vagabov in this first fight. And up next here we got Kurtis Campbell and Demba Seck in the second fight of the night. And battle of the big cats, man. The Pink Panther, Kurtis Campbell, Black Tiger, Demba Seck. And Kurtis Campbell, English fighter. He's coming out of the MMA Academy, Liverpool. He's young. He's 23 years old, but already has a lot of experience. He has 15 MMA fights. He went 8-1 as an amateur, multiple amateur titles, and his one amateur loss came against Liam McCracken, who's a 6-1 pro currently, and that was in 2018. He ended up going pro in 2022, 7-0 so far at the pro level. And he has confidence. He tested himself against other top prospects. He's fought guys from other countries. And currently he's the FCC featherweight champion. He defended that belt twice. As far as resumes go for a 23-year-old MMA fighter, Campbell's is about as good as it gets. And this fight is a different challenge, though. It's his first time fighting in the U.S. He's fighting a 31-year-old grown man out of Senegal who's hungry, experienced, confident on a 7-fight win streak. And Demba Seck, he's looking to capitalize here. He's a little older for a featherweight prospect at 31. He's in must-win territory, I think, to keep his UFC dreams alive. But he's a tried-and-true African fighter. All but one of his fights have came in Africa. He had one fight in UAE, but he's fought in Cameroon, South Africa, Nigeria, Congo, Ghana, Zambia. He's went all over Africa and been the road warrior in most of the fights. Now he's heading much farther away from home, though, and this is the biggest fight of his life. Currently, he's on a 7-fight win streak, but his wins aren't overly impressive. This is by far the best fighter that Seck will have ever fought, and we will find out if he can hang at this level. If Seck can beat someone like Campbell, I think he's going to clearly have earned a contract. Campbell's a guy that is on a 14-fight win streak, champion in another promotion, so it would be a very good win for Demba Seck. And Demba Seck, he looks good on tape. He's big, he's athletic, he's long, lanky, good speed, he throws decent straights, hooks, uppercuts. His combinations are good. Decent high guard, but he really hasn't faced a lot of opponents that threw back at him too much. And he is plotty. I feel someone who could stick and move maybe could have success, but Seck is dangerous with the combos. You'll shoot good double legs, and he's good at circling to the back from the double, controls on top. I haven't seen him on his back really at all or how he deals with takedowns, but as far as training partners go, to get him ready with that, he has a decent African fighter gym that he trains at with Josias Musasa and other guys. So, obviously we just saw Musasa on the ground, but yeah, he's at a decent gym. And you're looking at him here. He's been in Vegas at least for a while. He's going to be here for about probably maybe a week before the fight. So, it's not too bad. You see him there with Ali training, so he's a athletic guy. He looks pretty fluid, dangerous, but you just don't know exactly if he can compete against someone at the level of like a Curtis Campbell. But yeah, man, Demba Seck, he's gonna be trying to put on for Africa and see if he can get the job done here. Trying to show you like his camp here. You see him with some decent fighters here. But yeah, the guy overall really is not too proven. This fight is going to have to show if he can really fight guys that are as good as a guy like Curtis Campbell. But Campbell, he himself, good footwork, distance control, good job hand fighting, moves in and out. He'll land nice little counters. Short punches as fighters look to enter, but he primarily likes to wrestle. His kicks are good. He's finished a few guys with kicks. Wrestling is solid, but really on top, good job moving from position to position. He'll look for finishes, and he needs to be in his wrestling bag here though in this fight because he has his hands too low sometimes on the ground. He gets hit too much, and we haven't seen Seck have to deal with wrestling or grappling offense yet, so we'll see how his defensive grappling looks. Campbell needs to be careful of the uppercuts. He has to use his kicks, mix in the wrestling, but he has good fight IQ. He knows how to fight over 5 rounds as well. Durable. He's never been finished. He's fought good fighters as a pro, and no one's been able to figure him out yet. But he's never really fought anyone like Demba Seck, and this is a dangerous matchup. But my prediction is going to be Curtis Campbell to win via decision. I think he can land kicks, and if he can get on top, he should have the edge. Seck, if he can keep it standing and use the link, speed, and aggression to time an uppercut, land on Campbell as he's moving backwards, potentially could lead to him getting a finish as well. But I'm going to side on the more known and well-rounded fighter that is Curtis Campbell. I think he could show levels on the ground and get a finish, maybe, but Seck's never been finished. He's tough. He has good cardio. He has size. He has athleticism. So I think he's going to be hard to put away. And I think Campbell's going to want to control Seck and not really let him get back up to his feet where he could get knocked out. So Campbell via decision is going to be my prediction. You see him here. He said he's been training for the past week with Davey Grant. So he's been out here in Vegas. And, I don't know too much about these guys that he's training with, how good they are at the Liverpool Combat Academy. It looks like, a lot of young kids, honestly. Yeah, man, I think that he does look like a pretty solid fighter overall. So that's why I am going to lean with Kurtis Campbell via decision in that fight. And in this next one, we got a really good matchup between Christopher Alvidrez, and he's going to be taking on Eliezer Kubanza. Alvidrez, he's 28 years old, fighting out of the Goat Shed in Miami, and he's been in the MMA world for a while now. He won 4 amateur fights between 2018 and 2021, went pro in 2022, and 6-1 so far as a pro. And he's on a 5-fight win streak, coming off a first-round finish over UFC veteran Takashi Sato. And decent resume. He's won a couple fights in Combate, won a fight in CFFC against William Rentz, who's a CFFC fighter, hometown guy over there. Has a win over UFC vet with Sato as well. But difficult fight in front of him with the 7-0 Eliezer Kubanza. Kubanza, second athlete representing Africa on this card. 7-0. He's fighting at a Soma Fight Club. They have Demba Seck's main gym listed as a different one, but I've seen Seck training with those fighters at Soma as well, so I think that's a hub for African fighters. And Kubanza, he has solid knockout power. He is a knockout artist, really. 6 of his 7 pro wins are knockouts. 6 knockouts as an amateur and 7 wins also. And he ventured out. He fought for IMAF as an amateur, and as a pro, his last 4 fights are for Brave. He's beaten 2 Caucus fighters in a row. His last fight, he won his first decision, and that was key because Kubanza was 0-3 as an amateur in decisions, so it proved that he can win on points and against a good opponent too. But this will be Kubanza's first fight since December, so hopefully he is rejuvenated and ready to go, and he's not taking on an easy opponent in the newborn Chris Alvidrez, who's a well-rounded fighter. On the feet, he's tall and long. He's good at using his length footwork to bounce in and out, control range, throws good straights, lead hooks, mixes in takedowns. Definitely has worked a lot on his boxing. He's gotten slicker with his footwork. He could switch stance. He's quick, good hands, really nice boxing combinations. He's good at kind of lowing guys with the feints, with the switch stances, with lateral movement, then exploding in. And he may not have crazy one-shot power, but he's an attrition guy and can finish you with volume. He probably landed like 100 head strikes in the first round against Takashi Sato. But, 4 first-round finishes. The Sato one was by far the best one. His pro loss, he tried to wrestle a striker, and he was not as good of a stand-up fighter as he is now. He was getting pieced up trying to use pressure and got busted up. He was bleeding bad, but he did keep coming forward. He was able to hit some body locks, good back takes. Even when he lost position, he was able to throw up some submissions, beat Dangerous off his back. In the fight with Sato, he also jumped on a guillotine. So even though he normally doesn't get submissions, and he only has 1 as a pro, I feel like he has them in his back pocket. And this fight, though, I don't think he's going to submit a big, huge guy like his opponent. But Alvidrez, he is athletic, aggressive. He's tall. He has good conditioning. He brings the confidence. He could finish you anywhere. And in this fight, he needs to use his kicks, combinations versus Kubanza. He has to be smart. He can't brawl, but he should have the hand combinations edge. And he also needs to mix in low kicks and look to mix in takedowns. Alvidrez, he has to be smart with his takedowns. He can't waste energy. He also doesn't want to end up on bottom. But I think if you can get him thinking striking, there is potential that he can come over the top and land some punches, then use the punches to level change under. So he needs to just make it an MMA fight, use his length, and be aggressive with what he thinks his talents are or what he has. Because Kubanza does have some issues, and if he can expose him with his combinations and just show off that he's the better boxer on the inside, which I think he is, that could be a good thing. But you see, he's a guy that is really locked in with a lot of the people over in the Florida scene, and a lot of the goat shed guys are. I mean, you see him with Aline Perez, Jillian Robertson. You even got John Jones in one of his posts up here, and there's people that are like asking to get him in the UFC, like Mike Perry. So he has a lot of support. But we'll see. I mean, this is a really tough fight. I mean, you even got Jamie Foxx out here. Jamie Foxx is going to get him in. I mean, so he has a good, it seems like confidence right now and feels like he's ready to get in there. And we'll see if he can get the job done, because Kubanza, he looked like a monster. I mean, he has some sick finishes, intimidating fighter to go against. He just plants his feet. He stays calm as a cucumber, ready to land power counters. Very patient, and he mostly throws single shots, but he has great accuracy. He has good shot selection as well. He goes to the body with the lead hook. He'll go back up to the head with it. He has nice head kicks. He'll mix in nasty teeps, round kicks. He's just super fast. And he needs to counter or check the low kicks from Alvidrez here. And another thing that I would say is negative about him is he just leaves his chin a little too high. Fighters seem a little scared to get in the pocket and really commit, because Kubanza, I mean, the guy's like Mark Hunt with the walk-offs. But, I think Alvidrez does pose some problems on the feet for Kubanza. He's taller. He can land leg kicks, and I think he tucks his chin a little better and probably is a little better in combinations. But the difference is he has to be perfect, and Kubanza only needs one shot to turn out Alvidrez's lights. So, it really gives Kubanza a lot of, he doesn't have to be as good as his opponent, because he only needs one shot to put him out. And he could wrestle too. I mean, the guy can grapple. His last fight, he showed really good double leg, nasty slams, throws. He's a freak athlete. He's very physical, so he's super difficult to take down. Shut down the wrestling of a combat sambo world champion in his last fight. He waited until he was tired, then started slamming him, put him on his back. He really showed his cardio in that fight as well, because he had never gone 3 rounds, and he was able to go the full distance and be the fighter that had the conditioning advantage. I anticipate that Kubanza may be a significant favorite, and if so, then I think Alvidrez could be a good potential underdog play. But it's scary to fade somebody with the KO power, just sheer athletic ability that Kubanza brings. Alvidrez is skilled. If he fights smart, he has a chance. But, I mean, man, I just think Kubanza, he really only fights in one way. He stays very composed. He's going to pick his shots. And I feel like Alvidrez can get too reckless, and he's going to get in the pocket. If he does that, I think he's going to get caught. And that's why I'm going to go with Kubanza be a first-round knockout. If Alvidrez had a little bit more experience and I thought would fight a little smarter, then I would pick him to win here. But I think he's going to potentially land on his opponent here a little bit, get overconfident, and then get clipped with the bomb and knocked out. So I just feel like it's hard to want to fade a guy like this. Super durable. He can mix it up. Very athletic. He's shown conditioning. It's just he's still green. He still has a lot of work to do. But, I mean, I just feel like it's his time. He's probably going to get the knockout, and maybe he can get with the better gym, start to improve, and be a problem in the division. And I think Alvidrez will be back too and get into the UFC. So both these guys are really good. This next fight, we got an interesting matchup with Louis Jourdain, the brother of Charles Jourdain, making his long-anticipated potential UFC run. And he's taking on Magno Diaz, who's a Fighting Nerds guy, and we all know how good the Fighting Nerds have been in the Contender Series. But Jourdain at the moment, he's still more famous for the last name, but the man's been putting in work for over a decade. He's still pretty young, he's 28, but first amateur fight he had, he was 16 years old in 2013. He was 6-0 as an amateur, and in 2016 he went pro. Kind of been inconsistent at the pro level. He started off 3-0, but went 2-3 in his next 5 fights after that, and he was 5-3 in his first 8 fights. After that, it seemed like he took a lot of boxing matches, had some layoffs, and I don't know how dedicated he was to MMA at the time, but he is back on a win streak. He hasn't lost since 2021, and he looks like he's leveled up and has looked very good in his 3 fights since he's came back and gotten back into the swing of things. He's had a handful of pullouts and bad luck, so I think he was remaining active as well during the layoff, but he won in Samurai MMA over a 12-3 fighter in May, and it's time for him to get this opportunity to see if he's UFC level. Magno Diaz, he is 28, 3-fight win streak for him. He's not as experienced as Jourdain. He's only 6-1. He's been fighting since 2019, and he's fought exclusively in Brazil, all Brazilian opponents. His first 4 wins were against nobody good, but on paper, at least he beat a 3-0 and 7-1 fighter in his last 2 fights, even though I wasn't too impressed by them. And Jourdain definitely has a better resume. I would say he's tested himself more than Diaz, but all that matters is who wins on Tuesday night, and that's what we're about to find out. You look at Magno Diaz, plotter. He likes to walk guys down, throw hard low kicks, look for counters. He stays really patient, and if you don't open up, he'll just chop your legs and not really do much else. But he's fairly sharp. He has a nice left hook. He is almost too patient sometimes with the hands. I mean, doesn't let his hands go, just plods into range and can just be hittable in boxing range. His defense is more about footwork, moving in, moving out, but he's good at finding knees and elbows inside. Normally, he likes to be all the way in or all the way out. He likes to be at kicking range, throwing those leg kicks, or in the clinch, and he looks strong in the clinch against the cage. You can get slams. He's sloppy on top, though. I've seen him lose position in fights, but he has 4 submission wins. He's been submitted once. Jourdain, he's been submitted 2 times, so I could see the game plan for the Fighting Nerds, maybe the leg kick, look for the takedown, and then try to find the submission. But, yeah, you see him here training in Sao Paulo. He, looking at him, he doesn't look like anything special, right? He's not like a great athlete. He doesn't look like the biggest guy. So I wasn't super impressed with him, but he does bring good low kicks. Seems like his nickname being the Violence. He likes to go out there and try to finish, do damage, but he's just very low volume, and I don't know how good he is with the hands, honestly. I feel like his striking leaves a little bit to be desired. It's like 1-2 shot counters, but if you get a little bit more advanced than that, I'm not sure how exactly good he's going to look or how his defense is going to be. But you see him here working, with at least good enough guys. I'm not too impressed overall with Magno Diaz, though, if I'm going to be honest. I feel like he's one of the lower level Fighting Nerds guys from what I've seen. And Jourdain, he is a striker. He throws a ton of kicks. He'll attack all parts of the body, low kicks. He'll throw a lot of front kicks, side kicks, head kicks. Sometimes he just flicks the kicks out there as rangefinders, but he will sit down with heavy kicks as well. His teeps are nasty. And great boxing on the inside. He picks the shots well. Nasty short hooks, nasty uppercuts. In boxing range, he has much better hands, sharper defense. And I think he has to be on the pressure and stance switches here. He is a plotter and kind of heavy on the lead leg, so he needs to minimize how easy it is to chop. And I really am not sold on Jourdain's takedown defense. He hasn't had to show his grappling in a long while. But we'll see if it holds up in this one. He was taken down in his last fight early on, but he got back up pretty quickly. His scrambles look decent. He just can't give up his back or get stalled out, and he has a lot of experience. I feel like he's going to be able to not let that happen in the biggest fight he's ever had. And I feel like Jourdain has the volume edge on the feet, but power potentially could be on the side of Diaz. Jourdain is a durable guy, though. And I think that Jourdain should try to throw high kicks and force boxing exchanges. I could see him getting a highlight reel knockout here, potentially. But I think this fight should be priced close to a pick'em. Jourdain is more skilled, more dynamic, but he is a dangerous guy in front of him who he has to respect. Jourdain has some flaws. You can take him down. He's a little hittable, but I just think Jourdain has had a strange career. He's not been that active, and due to that, though, we don't know exactly how good he is. I think he's better than people think in terms of the hands, potentially even with the grappling. We've seen his brother hit several guillotines in the UFC, and Lewis only has one submission win and isn't a guillotine, but training with Charles, maybe it could transfer. And I think that this fight ends via submission might be like a sneaky bet for either guy because it's going to be at a high number. If Diaz wins, I think he's going to take the back and get the rear naked choke potentially. We've seen Jourdain submit to the RNC twice, and Magno has 2 rear naked chokes on his record. And I think that the guillotine could potentially be there. We saw Magno get submitted with the guillotine against a low-level guy, so maybe Jourdain can, find that gilly, but that's more like a value play. And ultimately, I think it's going to be Jourdain on points. I just think he's going to be the sharper boxer. I think he's going to figure out how to shut off the leg kicks and not be controlled and held down on the mat, land the better shots on the feet, potentially hurt Diaz a few times. And I think that he's just going to be the better fighter everywhere. So give me Jourdain here to pick up this victory. And the final fight on the docket for Week 8 is Vitor Costa and Damien, the Baby Yaga Pinas. That's a bold nickname choice to go with Baby when you got that last name. But shout out to Damien, man. And Vitor Costa and Damien Pinas, they were both scheduled to fight on Contender Series earlier this season, but they had visa issues, and now that they have that sorted out, the UFC was able to find a spot for them here. And they weren't originally supposed to face each other, but I'm sure they're happy to just keep on this season of the Contender Series and have a chance to get in the UFC. For Vitor Costa, he's 8-1, and he's approaching his prime. He's 25 years old. He had a tough go for his pro debut with Cesar Almeida, who's now in the UFC, world-class kickboxer. Got knocked out in that one, but since then he's taken 8 straight victories. He's currently the Jungle FC champion. Strong resume. His wins over opponents with good records. He won on LFA as well, and he hasn't lost in over 4 years. For Damien Pinas, he's 23 years old. He's 7-1. He trains out of Novo União, taken all 7 of his opponents out. His one loss, he got DQ'd, so he really only has a loss due to a technicality, and he knocked that guy out too. But levels of competition for Costa is really low. For Pinas is really low. Costa's the best fighter who he's ever going to have fought by a wide margin. And both these guys have been getting looked at for the UFC for a while now, though. And I think if one of them wins impressively, they're going to get a contract. For Vitor Costa, he is a tall and long fighter. He is someone that really likes to use his long punches to back fighters to the cage, hit body locks. But guys try to grab him too because he's really tall. They don't want to deal with the range disadvantage. He also is aggressive. He tries to pressure, throw a lot of combinations to get you wanting to grab him. But very hittable, man. I mean, the guy walks in chin high, not a lot of head movement. He has decent high guard, but you can land all parts of his body. I think going to the lower half early, then opening up head strikes is a path, but you can even tee off on him early and connect with big shots. But I've seen Costa get dropped and come back. He definitely has heart. He'll march you down even if you're hurting him and still try to force you into a mistake. And he's improving his hand speed. He's improving his pocket awareness. But still, he's reckless, bad head movement. And in his last couple wins where he's been fighting these smaller guys, I think he didn't really respect the power. So he was aggressive. And he has to be a little more composed versus higher level opponents. But once on top, Costa is not like elite, but he's good at finding the guillotine. He'll jump guard for it. If you shoot on Costa, he snatches the neck. And most of the control I've seen from Costa has been holding guys against the fence. But his last few fights, he's just made it a brawl in round one and got in the finish. So he's fallen in love with the striking a little bit. His cardio is decent. I mean, I was able to find the fight where he won via split, not in the LFA, but before that in a smaller promotion. And he pushed through hard in the third round of a 50-50 fight. But when he goes to decision, he's had 2 splits, and then he lost a decision as an amateur. So he doesn't do the best at winning minutes in a lot of these fights. But you look at him here, he's a tall guy. He's someone that is training out there with the Fighting Nerds as well, I believe. And he's decent. I mean, he's improving his hands and his boxing. And then he has a really nasty guillotine, aggressive guy that goes out there and tries to hunt the knockout. He's been fighting pretty good opponents as well. So ultimately, I think that he probably has a bit of a advantage in terms of how far ahead either guy is in MMA, but Damien is a freak of nature, and that can kind of close that gap. You know, he's a power puncher, big for the weight himself. He comes forward, planted upright, ready to throw heat. His one loss, he got taken down by a wrestler, and he gets taken down in all his fights, really. But when there was a scramble, he threw an illegal up kick, and he knocked his opponent out. And it was unlucky, really, because his opponent was standing up, and then he dropped to a knee, and I think Pinas didn't really register it fast enough. And the up kick was powerful enough to knock his opponent out, but got him DQ'd. He has some grappling deficiencies. I mean, a lot of sloppy stuff where he ends up in mount. He was put in a really tight choke in a recent fight, and I believe he's only a white belt, but he's someone that he will work his way out of chokes. He's very tough. He can hit scrambles as well, which are a little surprising. Like, his grappling level will look really low, and then all of a sudden he'll explode with something that looks fairly sharp. So, seems like he has a couple weapons that he might be decent at, but overall he wants to keep it standing and try to knock you out. And he has a good chance to get the KO because Costa's reckless. Costa doesn't have the greatest wrestling, so maybe Damien could use his scrambles and sheer physicality to keep it upright. But I think if Costa can get him to the ground and create some scrambles, I think he could find the neck. I think he's overall more skilled, so I'm going to pick Costa via sub in the first or second here. But this is a pretty competitive fight. I think it could go either way. Costa's more experienced. He's fought better guys at this point, so I'm going to say sub round 1 for Costa. And you look at him here, Damien, been in Vegas for a little while now. I mean, the guy's a freak of nature. You can see him right there. He's just a really built-up, strong guy. But, you know, I just don't know exactly how good he is. And I feel like he showed a lot of deficiencies, and I think that he might get caught in a submission here. So it's Damien knockout, Costa submission for me in this fight, which is the last fight of the night. So it's kind of when I'm leaning in that one. I'm going to say Costa first round submission as the official pick. So there you have it, guys. Those are the 5 picks that I have for Contender Series. The most confident pick that I have on the card is Rashid Vagabov. And if I had to give you guys a parlay, I would go with Rashid Vagabov and Kurtis Campbell. I think that Kubanza is maybe a trap spot. I think Alvidrez could be a decent underdog, but we're just going to have to see where that opens at with price-wise. Kurtis Campbell, I think, is fairly safe as well, but Seck is dangerous, so just don't go crazy with it, but I think those two is a good parlay. Jourdain, I think if he's an underdog, is a decent play. And then Costa versus Damien, maybe go under. Like I said, play those props. And if Costa's a fairly decent dog, because I see I believe I'm looking right now on, I could be wrong, let me see. Never mind. I thought for some reason that a lot of people were picking Damien on Tapology, but it looks like Costa may open the favorite. We're going to have to see where that line opens at, but the under in that fight I think would be the best play to target. So there you have it, guys. Hit the like button, comment down below. You want access to my Patreon, go check that out in the description. Got a lot of stuff going on this week in MMA, so there's going to be a lot over there on the Patreon. And thanks for watching, guys. Going to be back with the UFC 320 breakdown soon, so stay plugged into the channel and peace out.